Yo, growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook.
So much of my journey as a creator, as an online business owner, it's been so lonely. It's so hard to relate to people in your life who just don't do this type of thing. And so having the humility is such a critical part of having a long, sustainable, fulfilled career, that if you're not able to reach out and be like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you give me some advice? Right? Even though of course I have tens of thousands of followers and I have this big business that maybe it seems like I know what I'm doing, but I don't. You just have new challenges that you get to at each different phase. So I really feel like if you can get your ego in check, man, doors will open for you.
A couple hundred episodes ago, we had an expert on sponsorships come on, how to do brand deals and brand partnerships, how to do integrations with other companies into your brand so that you could generate more money. And that person was Justin Moore. And since then, he's actually blown up quite a bit. I see a number of different people recommending him in their lineups of top creators to follow, top creators to help you generate more revenue. So I wanted to bring Justin back on to not go over the specific A to Z step-by-step process, because we've already talked about that. That was back in episode 631 called Brand Deals and Sponsorships for Every Creator. Today, we're going to talk more about Justin's business and how he's gotten to this point and some of the things that he's done related to positioning, some of the ups, a lot of the downs, where this all started. And we have a lot of people who request to come on this show because they want to share their story. They think it's inspiring. And in many cases it is. But I wanted to invite Justin on personally to tell you his story and share a little bit more about the behind the scenes of what's going on. And what's really cool is he's still in the process of building. He's still figuring things out. And this is the perfect time to invite somebody on the show who's on the up and up so that we can all learn from what is working right now. So here he is, Justin Moore. You can find him as well at creatorwizard.com. He's got a community of tens of thousands. He's helped them make millions of dollars in brand deals, and he can help you too. Here he is, Justin Moore from creatorwizard.com.
You're listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, a show that's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He blames Instagram for his new skincare routine, Pat Flynn.
Justin, welcome back to SPI, man. Thanks for being here.
What's up, Pat? Glad to be back.
You are making waves in the space now. Your name keeps coming up. I hear everybody from Roberto Blake to just anybody who's wanting to generate more revenue and discovering that, wow, sponsorships can be like a real thing. They're coming to you. You have made that name for yourself. I want to congratulate you on that, because the last time you were on here, you were at the top as well, but not maybe as widespread or widely known. Just good job, man. That's awesome.
Dude, I appreciate that so much, man. And I have to share a quick anecdote because I was at the Everything Food Conference, I don't even know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I remember seeing you up on the stage and I was like, dang, Pat Flynn. I've been listening to your podcast for so long, and I was like, man, that guy is at the top of his game. And so to be here talking with you is just very surreal right now. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I remember that event. Somebody, a sponsor there, actually, because in the blogosphere, like sponsorships are very big, especially in the food blogging space. And I remember at that event, because there were a lot of people who were food bloggers there were a lot of sponsors who like to show up and buy a booth and kind of enter that world. And one of those, I can't remember the name of the company, unfortunately. It was a while ago, but they gave me, the keynote speaker who's not in the food space, some free swag. And one of those pieces was a meat thermometer. They gave me a meat thermometer. And it's this one where like the needle kind of folds into itself so it's safe and it just doesn't stick out and stuff. And it's electronic digital read. And they were like, hey, Pat, can you, in exchange for this, can you integrate this meat thermometer into your talk? And I was like, okay, I've had this talk for a while and it was like structured perfectly and you're inserting this sort of audible and you've helped me out and, I want to do this and do right by the conference and for the people who brought me here. So yeah, I'll figure it out. And then I ended up integrating it in a way where you're like, hey, you just have to like put yourself into your content when you're an affiliate, because my talk was about affiliate marketing. I ended up taking this thing out of my pocket and saying, you see this thing? To me, it looks like a narwhal. So I'm going to call this my narwhal meat thermometer. And so when you say that in your content, now everybody's going to think of their meat thermometer as a narwhal. And it was just the strangest, weirdest integration I've ever had, but it's so memorable. Anyway, that's a little bit part of your world because you are in sponsorships and brand integrations. And sometimes they work well and maybe sometimes they don't. But do you have a weird, crazy brand integration story that you'd like to share, perhaps?
I love that was like right at the like tip of your tongue to tell that story when I just randomly threw out that memory. There's so many. I mean, I've done 550 sponsorships personally over the, last 15 years or so, along with my wife, and thousands through the agency. So you name it, man. I've basically seen every scenario, horror stories, hilarious stories. It's funny though, because this, on the topic of storytelling, of creating something memorable, I think not often enough, we don't realize, like when we do sponsorships as creators or business owners or things like that, we don't realize how important it is to craft a story around the product of how it's actually going to serve our audience. I talk about the fact that like a lot of people think of sponsorships as kind of like win-win, right? It's like, yeah, I'm getting paid. That's cool. And then obviously the brand is winning because they're getting to access like, a pool of prospective customers ideally, right? But it's like, it's that last win, which is like your audience should be winning too. And if you're not proactively thinking, okay, like what are the objections that my audiences are going to have around this? How can I tell a story to help it relate to them? Help me explain to them in their mind's eye why purchasing this product or patronizing this particular sponsor is going to help them as well. And I think that's oftentimes missing from the podcast ad read or the YouTube integration or the TikTok, sponsorship or something like that. And so I love that anecdote from you around the narwhal meat thermometer. And I'm also always going to remember that now.
When you say that, it reminds me of those old school, and I say old school, it's not that long ago, but it was the Gimlet Media startup podcast.
Yes. Had these. Oh my God, I loved it.
Right? Oh. Like, do you remember those ads? They were for like MailChimp, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They were so like bespoke.
Yeah. Like you could hear the sound of people as if they were on the streets of New York talking about email and MailChimp. And it just sounded so real. And they even had, I think, the founder of MailChimp or somebody really high up on the show at one point. And it was like they were offering value and giving tips about building a startup because that's what Gimlet Media was trying to do. And it just felt natural. Like, no, I did not want to skip those. Like, I was actually looking forward to them.
The other thing I think that's interesting when you kind of have a pattern interrupt like that can really help sometimes is involving your audience much more in the conversation around sponsorships, because I think working with partners can be kind of a scary thing to certain people because they are fearful of getting called a sellout, or they're fearful of ruining the creative purity of their craft and this type of thing. And one, I think, really effective strategy is like actually asking your audience, like, hey, like what types of things are going on in your life? What's keeping you up at night? What brands and products and services are you using and loving right now? Just tell me more about you. Get some psychographic texture behind like what actually makes them tick beyond the demographics, beyond the analytics that you're seeing in your social platform, or your email subscriber, your ESP or whatever. Like that makes it a lot easier to not be scared about it anymore. If you survey your audience and find out, I have a a quick anecdote here. One of my clients, he's in the kind of the tech focus niche, and he was really kind of struggling to find brands that, it's like the same old brands that everyone works with in like the tech niche, right? And he was just kind of, oh man, is this it? And so I encouraged him to do this exercise around surveying his audience, and he was shocked. He did this survey on his YouTube community tab where he found out that he talks about tech and kind of like online privacy and security and stuff. And he did this survey and found out that 70% of his audience is interested in home security as well. And it makes sense, right? It's like people who want to stay secure online, they probably want to keep their family safe in real life too, right? And so he turned around and crafted a really compelling pitch to a residential alarm company like Simply Safe or Alarm.com or whatever. And so it's like, and that all came from like learning more about the audience. And so when you can involve them more in the process, it really unlocks a lot of doors.
Yeah, so true. And that's a common thing when it comes to just creating any business. When there's a value exchange, who ultimately is going to benefit from that value? Talk to those people, because that's how you know what is of value to them. Speaking of value, I know that you've been providing a lot of it through some great, I follow you on X probably more than anywhere else. And just, I really enjoy the way you engage and you tell story. You put a little comedy into it every once in a while. You put your own personality into it as well. How long has it taken you to kind of find your groove? And I know that we're always still working on finding ourselves and getting better, but it seems you've hit a really good stride lately. Did anything account for that? Was there a moment where you're like, yes, I found myself, I got it, let's lean into it now? Or tell me about that.
I appreciate that, dude. I think the moment for me was initially when I first started talking about specifically this stuff around sponsorships. I felt like I had to be super buttoned up. I had just come from essentially 7 years of running an influencer marketing agency where all of my conversations were with buttoned up traditional brands and advertisers, where I was in these boardrooms with these suits basically. And I felt like I had to be a certain way. I had to be, the professional buttoned up suit wearing type of guy. And so a lot of my early content came across quite stilted in that way and very professional. You can go back and look at my YouTube channel, like some of the early videos, right? It was very formal. I was wearing a button-up shirt, like just like an idiot, right? But it felt like that was what I was supposed to do. But like anyone who would ever meet me in real life would always, I'm always cracking jokes. I'm like the least serious person you can imagine. I'm like a meme lord, like people just, it's just like, this is part of my personality. And so people would always be like, wow, that's very surprising to me. That's not the gist that I got from your social media presence. And I sat down and I thought, I was like, I need to reconcile this because that just that feels like weird. That feels wrong that there's like this Jekyll and Hyde to my personality, right? And so after that moment, when I kind of went to my first kind of creator conference in that way and people knew me from that, I was like, I don't like that. I want people to like know that that's me, that I'm like this super unserious person. The first thing I did is I made a rap about sponsorships because I've been a musician my whole life. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to combine these two passions, like this really nerdy topic around sponsorship strategy. And I'm going to write lyrics. I'm going to make a rap. And so like people absolutely, they were like, what? Like, this is bizarre. Like I didn't know you had this like ability, this talent or whatever. And so ever since then, I would call my content strategy unhinged. That's the best way to describe it. I feel like people resonate.
I mean, we do. And now I want to hear this rap. I don't know if you still have it available, but
oh God. Well, how about I'll send it to you and you can insert it right here.
Oh yes. Okay. How long is it?
60 seconds.
Okay. That's where it's going to go. Right there. Right there.
Perfect. All right.
Justin, why are brands ghosting me? First of all, you're not contacting the right person because they don't control the purse strings. Spamming press@brand.com, you're sliding in their DMs wrong. It's all about finesse, you see. You've got to do research and try to find out a little bit more about their strategy. So I shouldn't say, hey, I love your brand. Let's collab. It'll be grand. You can do that if you like being ignored and shouting into an eternal void. Asking for money is not taboo if you make the pitch about them, not you.
Everybody just listened to you rap and is either still here or not.
Well, I want to see the retention chart on this episode.
Yeah, I know, right? It might actually be the most replayed part, so it actually could probably help. Dude, that's awesome. I know you're also working on a book to sort of further your reach and amplify this momentum that you have, which is really cool. But I also know that you have gone through an interesting pathway to this book because you reached out to me for a little bit of advice, and it was really cool to see it all happen and all unfold in the way it did. might you be okay sharing a little bit of the behind the scenes with the origin story of this book and how you've gotten to where it's at?
I am such an open book with this stuff because I feel like too often on a lot of podcasts and a lot of episodes, everyone's always kind of sharing this like buttoned up, like, look at my business. I have it all figured out. And from the beginning, I have always felt like I have no idea what I'm doing. And so my whole goal has been to like, let me go like ask people who seem like they know more or have done it before to just like ask them for advice, because I'm just making it up as I go. And I feel like even now, even though I've seen, some success, like I still feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. And so the book is no exception. When I decided that I did want to write a book and kind of, that there really isn't a definitive book on sponsorship strategy. There's some kind of old textbooks and kind of more corporate type books on this topic, negotiation. Negotiation is a common topic amongst like kind of pop business books, I guess you could say. There's some good ones out there, but like nothing really tactical, right? And so I was like, I should probably be the guy to write that book. However, I was really concerned, Pat, about cannibalizing other aspects of my business. Like, I'll just be totally frank. Like, I have a course, right, called Brand Deal Wizard, which is, one of the primary revenue drivers for my business. It's a larger price point. At the time of recording, it's $14.97 basically. And that will take you through the complete nuts and bolts of creating a sponsorship strategy. And so I was really concerned. I was like, okay, if I just word vomit everything that I know about sponsorships into this $30 book or $20 book, like, holy cow, that's going to crush my business, right? And I'm not going to be able to sustain myself. And if like having a larger impact on more people is what I want to do, I got to be able to keep the business running. And so this was like the flawed starting point. I was like, okay, well, I can't write the book about sponsorships because then this is going to happen and I'm going to run the business into the ground. And so at that point is when I got down this path of like, okay, well, let me write a book that's like more kind of about this spiky point of view that I have around managers, because that's also something that I, have kind of attracted some, not controversy, but differing opinions, let's say, where, I fundamentally believe that you do not need to have a manager in your business or even someone doing like outbound sales for you. I believe as a creator or as a business owner, you should be doing that. It's actually you. You should be head of sales, head of biz development for a long time. And actually you're the one on the phone calls with the brands and the prospective partners and this type of thing, because at the end of the day, that's really who they want to work with. And yes, you can have operational support and admin logistics help and all that stuff too, but it's really you. You're the person who should be that person. And so I rustled a lot of feathers with that comment because I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of managers, agents, brokers in this space who are like, what are you doing? Like, you're telling people not to hire managers, not to hire agents. And so I was like, I'm going to write a book about that. I'm going to write a book about this idea that like you can do it all yourself. And on the surface, I got really excited about that. I got really far down that path. I hired a book coach. I spent a bunch of money. I had an outline. I had all this stuff. And then I came to this crossroads. And this is when I really reached out to you, where I was just like, man, I emailed my list. This is what happened, Pat, is I emailed my list and be like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to be writing this book called Fire Your Manager. And I cannot tell you, so many people responded to me and were like, what on earth are you doing? Like, that is not the right book for you to write at this point. And in fact, this is really what you said. And maybe I'll kick it to you, because I would love to, maybe you can recount kind of the advice that you gave to me, because it was about the kind of sunk costs fallacy, because it was a game changer for me.
Yeah. I mean, I had heard this as well, and I lived through it, right? When I was laid off in 2008, I had a choice to go into entrepreneurship, but a lot of what was pulling me back was the fact that I had dedicated so many years to architecture, that this is the career I was in, that this is what my parents paid me to go to college for, et cetera. And therefore, I shouldn't look for something new because I had already dedicated this much time into path number one. And of course, looking back, it was the best thing to ever happen to me to get laid off, to let go, to grow into this new space, if you will. But I was noticing a similar pattern with how you were describing your pull toward the initial thing, the what you thought and had invested money into, right? With a writing coach or a book coach to create that outline, to write the book, to have a lot of the book written. And I think it was Stephen King who said, one of the hardest things to do is to like kill your darlings or whatever in his writing. And I don't know if this necessarily is a one-to-one metaphor, but it's hard to get rid of things that you've worked so hard on already. But I could also sense that with the momentum that you've had, that there was this push and pull. And this is exactly why I was so grateful you reached out, not only because I felt honored that you would trust me with advice, but I knew that you would also listen. you made, I think, a really smart decision. And now probably at this point, Justin, you could probably go, yeah, okay, that was definitely the right decision. It's obvious now, but in the moment, it's hard, right? Like, how do you recommend a person who might be in a push-pull situation to, I mean, you did all the right things, you reached out, and how do you stay open to feedback, and how do you weigh your decision one way or another?
It's so hard, man, because like throughout so much of my journey as a creator, as an online business owner, it's been so lonely. It's so hard to relate to other friends, family, other people in your life who just don't do this type of thing. The struggles that are, that you experience, putting yourself out there, receiving hate, trolls, like you name it. There's all this that really weird stuff that comes with like being on the internet that a lot of people don't really quite understand. And so having the humility, I think, is like such a critical part of having a long, sustainable, fulfilled career on the internet, that if you're not able to reach out and be like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, can you like give me some advice? Right? Even though like, of course I have tens of thousands of followers and I have this big business that on the outside looking in, maybe it seems like I know what I'm doing, but I don't really think anyone does. It's like, you just have like other like new challenges that you get to at each different phase. Right. And so I'm at the phase right now where, I want to write the book. I'm going to launch a conference. I'm going to I have all these big aspirations, but I don't know what I'm doing. And so like, I really feel like if you can get your ego in check, like, man, doors will open for you. I really feel that.
Oh, amen to that. For sure. So book coming event, tell me a little bit more about that. And the reason why I'm asking all these questions, we had you on the show once before, and this was in November of 2022. So it's been a little bit. That was a timeless episode. I'm going to definitely make sure to link back. I think you should definitely check that out. The fact that you are still here after that wrap probably means you are curious enough to go into that.
You want more.
Yes, we need more raps. More raps. Anyway, we need an album eventually.
Flava J is the name.
Flava J, yes.
Yeah.
So you can go get more Flava J on that episode. And that was I have the number here, episode 631, in case you want to find that. So brand deals and sponsorships, that is a timeless episode. We go into a lot of detail. Justin goes deep into, okay, this is how you do a sponsorship and actually make it a win and make it beneficial for the company that you're working with. You had offered some amazing strategies going into, for example, a company's Instagram and going into the past for the previous year's, for example, Mother's Day promotion, and being proactive with the upcoming Mother's Day promotion because money is being spent around that time and they want to look for influencers and brands who get it and who can be proactive with that. That says a lot. So go listen to that episode 631. But we're diving into your business now, Justin, which I think is really cool because it's like, it's in motion, it's in flux, there's a lot of decisions to be made. What are some of the other heavy decisions that you're having to make kind of in this moment right now?
Man, it's so true. I feel like I'm in the messy middle, man. Like that's the best way to describe it. I love that book, by the way. I feel like I've been in the messy middle for a long time. And I think the biggest, first I'll mention, I'll just do a mic drop about the conference, Sponsorship Strategy Summit. Pat.
Nice.
How does that hit you?
Triple S. Love it.
There's nothing. Yeah. I'm thinking S cubed, maybe triple S. Ooh. There's nothing that exists like this. There's some kind of corporate-y type partnership events, but nothing about sponsorship strategy for kind of what we do, as entrepreneurs, creators, influencers, this type of thing. And so I have this vision of like bringing together both brands and creators and like making this panels and keynotes and, network to like just make this process better for everyone. Everyone always complains on both sides of like, oh, I hate brands or, oh, I hate creators. They suck. They're entitled. Like, I want to have a forum to like, just try to make this stuff better for everyone, So excited about that in 2025. But with respect to like the business structure, I'm really struggling right now because like if I can give a quick overview of like I guess you could call it my offer ladder, which is like the various ways in which you can kind of hire me. Obviously at the very beginning, I have so much free stuff on the internet, right? I have my free newsletter, creatorwizard.com/join, by the way. And then I have all my content on the internet, so many YouTube videos, public coaching calls out there, my podcast, like social media, everything. So much stuff for free. And then, if you want to hire me, sure. Sounds good. I've got this course, $14.97. You'll learn everything you need to know. You essentially get lifetime access to the trainings, the community, but critically the community, the forums itself are peer led. So it's like all the alumni in there, all of the people who are currently in the program and they're all kind of networking, answering each other's questions, this type of thing. And so we kind of make a distinction that like, look, don't look to me or anyone on my team to like come in there and like give you like 24-hour turnaround times, like help you negotiate and price a particular deal. Like that's not what the goal of the forums is. It's like you can help each other in there, right? And so, however, if you do need support, we have this other option. And so this is kind of the next item on the, I guess you could call it offer ladder, which is called my Wizards Guild, which is twice weekly asynchronous private coaching, meaning that if you actually need our help negotiating a deal, figuring out how much to charge, this type of thing, that's $1,000 a month, right? You get 8 touch points, basically twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. And you can get into a private room. So you're not sharing that data with anyone in like the public community on Circle or whatever. Like you get a private room with us and we're going to help you negotiate that. And so critically going back to that whole fire your manager thing, like we're not your manager. We're not an agent. We're not a broker. We're not taking any percentage of your deals. You keep 100%. It's basically fee only. And so the people that are in there usually are 6-figure plus businesses. They're, so paying us essentially $10K a year, which is like the annual commitment, is a no brainer, to have us on speed dial essentially to help them. And so the big challenge that I'm trying to reconcile here, it's this kind of like wink, wink, nod, nod thing in the community where it's like, I really do want to support people who are alumni of the program. But it's like, it's really difficult from an operational and even financial perspective to like devote a ton of resources to people that have done kind of a one-time investment into the program. And so that's number one. Then the number two is that like, if I think about the problem that we're helping people solve, which is like sponsorship strategy, it's kind of an infinite problem, right? Because it's like you can learn all the baseline skills, but then every new deal you get, sometimes it's like there's an esoteric component, right? It's like, oh, yeah, but what about this thing? Like, what do I do when the brand asks this? Like I've never seen that before, right? And so I would love to design a business structure that allows us to serve people honoring that, right? And so my mind instantly goes to like, maybe make it like a membership makes more sense. Maybe there's like 3 tiers, right? You've got the basic tier, which is like you get access to the courses, not the forums though. Maybe the public support tier of the membership is like an annual commitment. And it's like, you get the courses, you get, the forums. We will help you publicly though in the forums, our team now directly supporting you. And then you've got the private membership, which is like, that asynchronous stuff. And so I feel like that would allow us to invest in the right type of support that I want to give people rather than this kind of weird like middle ground that I'm at right now. And so like, I do not have the answer, Pat. Like I'm in the middle of this right now. And so I'm just going to like throw that to you and like would love to get your kind of high level thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I love this because you're literally in the middle of it. And these are some of the best episodes because we don't know what the right answer is. With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contract or agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check all in one place. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by assessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, administration support, marketing, and more. And I've personally used them myself and can vouch for them. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Go there now. I'm curious about how you are looking to find that answer. And it seems like a strategy that you have is always to go to other people who have perhaps solved a similar kind of problem and kind of just ask around. And how do you do your research for what next moves to make in your business? Because, I mean, there's obviously an infinite amount of information and examples and even ways that you could go. How are you filtering all the information that's coming your way and all the help?
So I try to stay as plugged in as possible into other people who are kind of in this ecosystem. For example, I know that you guys made a similar transition. I know that there's folks out there like Mariah Cause, Stu McLaren, who talk about memberships. So I'm sure that okay, those people have probably figured it out. So I should probably follow them, watch their courses. I know Jay has a course about creating I think it's called Beloved Membership. So there's other people in my network that I think probably would have some pretty good advice around this. And so the way in which I've approached from starting the business to now, it's this idea of just I just going to help everyone that I possibly can. If anyone needs help on sponsorships, I'm just help them. And maybe one day I'll be able to ask them for help or ask them for a favor or something like that. I'm not looking for a quid pro quo type thing, but maybe one day there will be an opportunity for me to get some advice on something that's really tricky. I feel as though I've built up a lot of people in my corner, I guess, where I can come to you, for example, and be like, Pat, what do I do here, dude? That I felt comfortable enough to ask you for advice about the book. And I wouldn't have when we first did the podcast episode together. I didn't feel like we knew each other as good at that time. But over the last several years, we've built up a relationship. You've come to me for advice about sponsorships. I've helped you out. So it's this kind of thing where it's not a transactional friendship or relationship. It's just people helping each other out. And I think, I don't know, I guess that's the way I've always approached it, where it's if I need the support, I'll ask people, or I'll purchase a course, or I'll pay someone for their time. Just like the conference I was mentioning, I put out a tweet. I was just who can I hire for a consulting session to tell me how to not lose money on a conference or a mastermind or something, right? And so it's just I don't know what I'm doing, so I might as well ask people who do.
Yeah, that's great. That's the way to fast forward to the right answers for sure. And this is exactly everything you said is exactly how I learn as well, which I love. And it really starts with relationships and digging your well before you're thirsty. Jordan Harbinger came on at one point and said, if you're ever needing something in the future, you best hopefully have already offered that person something prior to that. And it's something that I see you do, and you're doing a great job. So, in terms of specifically your situation where you're at now, I think micro experiments are always a great way to go about it. That's how we try to figure out what the answers are before, making a permanent decision. Can we test something out? When we were running our accelerators, let's try one cohort and just see what happens. We're not going to commit to it forever, but this is the hypothesis that people are going to have a better experience and be able to go through this, learn better and get better results and transform if they go alongside other people. And if it doesn't work out, great. We never committed to anything, but we're experimenting just in case. And you're doing that here as well. And I think the biggest thing is, with all the different options out there and the things that you're trying, pay close attention to where within that you are getting fired up, super stoked about stuff, and where within that you're starting to go, fine, I'll do it, right? When you start to early on decipher between those two kind of buckets in your energy, it starts to become very clear which direction you will likely succeed most. It's not always a one-to-one correlation, but it often is, because you're feeling that energy and so will your audience on the other side. So whether it's these more public forums or more private things, I love the idea of a private space. If I'm a brand and I'm I just need help and I want sponsorships, but I don't want to share sensitive information, I mean, that program that you have, what is that called? The
Wizards Guild.
Wizards Guild? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, send me to Hogwarts. That's where I want to go, because that's where I can get direct access to the team for X amount of time. And the ROI is so obvious at this point, right? I can just pay this amount of money. And I know that even just one deal that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise would have helped make it worth it for sure. And then one thing that I would suggest for you, Justin, that I haven't quite seen yet, and I hope that you're okay with me offering this advice. is I want to hear more stories, like real stories on the outside, as on Twitter, on Instagram, of specific people who have done it themselves, right? Because I know you're the expert, but when I see somebody who wasn't, who then does it, and then they go, yeah, it was Justin's program, or it was Justin who said this, like that is super inspirational. And the reason why I'm thinking about this is because you mentioned Stu McLaren. When he was on the show, he was dropping names and examples. And when I was like, hey, so how does somebody transition from an online course to a membership? And he's like, oh, that's like Donna. So let me tell you about Donna. Her community is this, and it's this. And she did this, and then she did this much money. And I was like, you can't help but go, okay, I need to listen to you because you've got it down, right? So I know you do some of that, but like the more storytelling that you can do to relate it to the different obstacles and objections that your audience, that you know they have, the better that will convert. So maybe I can go get an initial reaction from you on that before I ask my next question.
Dude, I accept that with open arms, man, because you're so right. It's so funny because like I literally was just talking with my team. We have literally hundreds of testimonials,
I bet.
Video testimonials, like really amazing ones. And I literally don't share them anywhere. Like the only place that they're on is basically the sales page for the course. I don't share them on social media. I don't do that at all. I have this like, I don't know. It's not an aversion to it. It's just like, I just, my whole ethos is just like, if people want to work with me or join the course, it's fine. They'll find it, So I'm never like overt about it, but we have so many. And so we should like start posting these. Like we should turn them into shorts. In fact, I hired a journalist recently to interview some of our top, clients. And we started making these like really in-depth case studies into them. I got inspired by ConvertKit because they do these really cool, stories. And so I was like, I want to do that. And so we have 4 of them so far, but yeah, I haven't really promoted them and they're really awesome. And so you're right. I need to do better at that. I need to improve my story bank. Like you mentioned with Stu, I do have a lot of stories, but it's like, I don't know. It's a deficiency. You're right. I need to do better at that. I don't have an excuse. I need to do better there.
In the world of negotiation, there are so many interesting moments that could be pulled out. I'm remembering a lot of, I don't follow this person, but I just happen to come across his content every once in a while, and I'm intrigued. Grant Cardone, he's literally on the phone in his conference room, and he's negotiating some big deals with the person on the other end. And like just listening in on those conversations is super fascinating. It's just like, I can't move to the next thing because I need to see how this thing finishes. So there might be some amazing email correspondences, where you can leave names out and brands out, but just to show how the deal went down, how this person's one single question doubled their sponsorship revenue. Here's the conversation. Can you find the question that mattered most here? And it's just like, oh gosh, this is learning as it's happening in real time. We are like viewers watching the real world, right? It's just like, wow, let's see how this goes down. That's an amazing opportunity that you have in the space that you're in, because negotiations happen all the time. So if we surface those, then they just become, eye candy for viewers. So,
man, my mind is racing right now because I just, the thing you said a little bit ago around, it also made me think of, you were like, oh, there's going to be certain things you try or do that fires you up, and certain things that feel like a draw on your energy, right? And the place my mind instantly went when you said that was like, dude, if we had like a more of a membership focused community, I would love to do more ongoing programming. Because like when I did a live cohort of my course, one of my favorite things is bringing in guest speakers from agencies and brands and creators who are doing cool things. And like, and people always say that's like one of their highlights, but I don't do that as much now because I have the on-demand program. And so like, if we had more of a membership feel to the community, it would make way more sense to like have ongoing programming, right? Man, I just thought of that. Like that excites me.
Yeah, I'm getting fired up. And this is the cool thing. When you bring 2 people in a room and you chat about one of those person's things, that could be way out of context. Don't take that out of context, by the way. Don't clip that, people. When you just are with somebody else, talk and shop, incredible things happen, right? And this is, like you said, it is a lonely thing out there. So there's a lot to this, right? If you're trying to learn something or expand your knowledge, go out there, talk to people, join communities, have conversations, ask for help. But at the same time, as a creator, you can become the person who creates those safe spaces for those interactions to happen, similar to what you're doing with your people who are all talking shop, who are going to swap ideas. And it's cool because it's like you said earlier, it's like you can learn the basics and the fundamentals. It's like chess. You know how the pieces move, But every game is different because there's a million different combinations, if not more, of things that can happen, which is why you need a coach for chess, which is why you need Justin for sponsorships, which is why you might need insert name here for transformation that you want. So I'm just really grateful again that you're open and that you are sharing these things in real time, because people are seeing your growth, and it's like we're kind of watching like, okay, where are you going to go next? And it's really cool to hear sort of the play by play.
Dude, I appreciate that. How the heck do I find a quality mastermind? I was part of one a few years back for course creators, and it was great. I attribute a lot of my growth to that, to the things that I learned in that.
Where did you find that one?
Just Twitter. It was run by Andrew Barry and Marie Poulin and Robbie Crabtree. It was really great. I really got a lot out of it, but then I felt like I graduated out of it. It was like, I got the outcome that I was hoping. And so I was at kind of a different level, right? I was like ready to like for the next level essentially. Right. And this is the dirty thing that I think people don't talk about enough with like masterminds and groups and things like that, is like, to some degree, it's like, you kind of want to know who's in the room too. Right. Because what I found was like, there was this imperceptible moment where I shifted from learning to now I'm like teaching in the mastermind. Right. And it was like, I don't mind that. Right. Like I'm happy to do that, but it was like way more skewed on the teaching side. And I was like, I'm not like getting out of this. Like I want to like be the dumbest person again, like, you know, in the room. And so it's been really tough for me to like, I just don't know. It's like, I've asked around. It's like, is a peer mastermind good? Is a paid one good? Like, do you have any tips on like, how do I find like a peer group of people who will like challenge me in this way, and like more of a, like an ongoing format where it's like you meet up or there's like events, and like, I don't know. I've explored some of these various options, but nothing has seemed like a good fit.
Yeah. I mean, there's two kinds of groups that you want to think about. One, groups related to the next thing that you're working on, which is going to be different than the sort of like long-term group of people who's going to grow with you and you're going to grow with them. This is sort of like topic specific. So for example, since you're in book mode, it could make sense to find other people and or join and perhaps even pay to get access to people who are literally in the same moment as you in time right now with books and such, you know, people like Jeff Goins and other people who bring people or seem to attract authors together in the business space who all are collectively helping each other out at the same time. And then, you know, you launch your book and you're kind of done with that, and that's fine. But that's good because you got what you need. It's just-in-time learning, but learning with other people. However, definitely there's benefit to finding a group of people who are there and growing with you. And that is largely going to be based off of the relationships that you build, based on the values that you share with each other, and just like the vibe, honestly. And the only real way to make that happen is to find people in person and just get together and try, like, let's date around a little bit. You know, I've been in 5 or 6 mastermind groups over time, and I've landed on 2 that I've been in now for over a decade. And they weren't the first ones I found, but they were ones that I found that I gelled with. And, you know, a few members here and there have changed in and out, but I continue to get value from them because we are very much in the camp of we are here to help each and every other member live the best life possible. And that partly means being brutally honest with each other too, because you don't want to be in a group where you're just getting like, yeah, you got this, you know, fire emojis everywhere. It's like, bro, what the heck was that? Last week's email was terrible. Are you okay? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you like, you're veering off path here? Like, we got to get you back on. So the 2 groups I'm in, one I was invited to. So I was in a circle, and I was eventually invited into this. I didn't know it existed until somebody was like, hey, you know, why don't you try this out? And then I loved it. The other one that I am in now, I started with a buddy. So it was just literally from scratch. So you don't have to find one that exists. You can go and make one. And it just has to be maybe even one other person to start with. And then you can kind of slowly build it. And that will take time. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a let me sign up and join the club kind of thing pretty often. It's going to be organic. It's going to take time. It's going to be really based on the vibe and the gut feeling, really.
Dang, that's, yeah. I figured that the hard way is the real way, and so I kind of knew what that was the answer. I was wishing there was an easier path, but I think that's I guess that's the way the worthwhile things are in life, right?
Yeah, for sure. And you know, the other thing I'll say about that is, you know, the groups I'm in, they comprise of people who are across all different industries. In fact, one of the groups I was in had a member who's no longer in the group, but he was with us for years. His name was Roderick, and he was a sword swallower. That was his profession. He swallowed swords, and he did hypnotism. He would get, you know, high school kids on stage during their graduation parties and make them look silly in front of everybody, and he would perform. And you're like, okay, well, what benefit was that to you, Pat? Like, what was the benefit? And I would not be where I'm at with the kind of stuff I do on stage if it wasn't for him. How comfortable I am on stage, the performance aspect of it, how to draw a crowd, how to hold attention. And if you can hold the attention of some high schoolers, then you could hold the attention of anybody, really. So I learned so much stagecraft from this person as we were helping him with his business and expanding outward beyond just like, getting hired during one season of the year. So, cross industry, we were both better off.
Dude, that's so useful, because I think I tend to sometimes be kind of myopic about, I just like want to find a group or other peers who are like kind of doing the same thing I'm doing. Cause they, if I talk about like funnels or email sequences or automations or blah, 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 personalization, whatever, like I want to like talk that, but it's like, to your point, there's so much you can learn, so much color that you can glean from people who are doing wildly different things to you. And I don't think I appreciate that as often.
100%. 100%. I appreciate you coming on and treating this almost in a mini coaching session versus just coming on to share.
It was therapy, dude. Therapy. Yes. Are you certified? I hope so.
No, I'm not. But
it seemed like it. It was very good.
Thank you. What else is exciting you these days outside of business? I'm curious. A well-rounded entrepreneur does not mean things are growing momentum in just business, but also in other parts of life. What is getting you excited outside of business today?
Dude, my kids are getting older and I can do awesome things with them now. My kids are 6 and 9 and we went off-roading with them on our last vacation.
Like what kind of off-roading?
Yeah, dude. Like literally we went in a ATV, or like not an ATV, like an enclosed buggy, like off-road thing, 4-seater. And when we were in Kauai, man, we took the kids off-road and it was freaking amazing. For the longest time we were in this period of our lives where like basically for the last 10 years where it was like they were like young and like, anytime we want to do like an activity or an excursion, and it's always like not for kids younger than X, or like not for kids who weigh less than blah, blah, blah. Right. And so now that our youngest is 6, it's like that's the cutoff for like a lot of cool things you can do, like zip lining and, off-roading and like cool activities when you travel. We love to travel as a family. So my wife and I were just talking about how it's like a new chapter, of like kind of doing and experiencing new things as a family. By the other token, though, it also means that older kids mean new and complex challenges with their lives and the people that they're becoming, and new challenges at school and in their social life, and them having distinct personalities and identities outside of being our kids, So it's like, yeah, it's such a beautiful life, man. I feel really. Let me share one really vulnerable thing that I think might be useful to other people. The other thing that I'm really excited about is being able to allow my wife to slow down in her career a bit more. Because for a long time, my wife, April, the only way I know anything about sponsorships and brand deals is because of the business that really she started and built, her YouTube channel, her social platforms. And I started making content along the way, but it was really her. And so she, for the longest time, has been kind of the figurehead of like that business of like people want to work with April, right? And then I'm kind of come along for the ride. And so it's been a lot of pressure on her for a long time because of that. The deals that we would do, the business, it's been a blessed life. I'm not complaining, of course, but it's a lot of stress being a mom, being kind of the figurehead of that business. And so having grown Creator Wizard to where it is now, it's just been such a breath of fresh air to be able to allow her, to have this new kind of really robust revenue stream to say, hey, it's okay to like take your foot off the gas of this thing you've been doing for the last 15 years. I don't know why I'm sharing this, but it like just jumped to my mind of like something that has been such a blessing over the last year or so.
No, that is huge. My wife is named April as well, stay-at-home mom, and she's sacrificed so much, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. And we have to realize that, and I really am grateful for the pandemic. In fact, as terrible as it was and as challenging as it was, it definitely helped slow me down because she was always in full support of whatever I decided to do. And for the longest time, I was saying yes to way too many things, and she was in full support of all of it. And I'm so grateful for that, because when the pandemic hit, we had some pretty intense discussions about the future. Am I going to continue to go back on the speaking circuit like I was? And it really made me reflect on, not just the fact that I didn't have to speak anymore, which was cool, but just what is important. what are we ultimately doing this for? And that it made more sense to stick around at home and be more present, especially as, and you had mentioned your kids, my kids are even older, 14 and 11 now. And we're on the opposite half of how much time we have until they're out now. I mean, only 4 more summers with my son. So it really brought things back into perspective. And oftentimes it's, our other half, our other relationships that really help fulfill the other parts of our life. I know we get really excited about business and we start to, lean into that, but we don't want it to be at the expense of anything else. So I appreciate you sharing that. And, your wife sounds amazing and your family, and just appreciate you coming on to share your stories. And I'm sure this isn't going to be the last time. But again, if anybody wanted to go back and listen to some of the tactfully, I don't even know how to say it. The great episodes that Justin brought on, where we go into the walkthrough of how to do sponsorships. Obviously, you can listen to that episode. But if they wanted to get more help from you and directly from you and your team, where should they go, Justin?
Yeah, creatorwizard.com/join. It's the best way. You can sign up the newsletter. I send you paid sponsorships every single week. Why wouldn't you want to sign up? But yeah, man, thanks for having me. And I think at some point we got to get the Aprils together for a double date, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
At some point, we got to make it happen, man.
Dude, appreciate you so much for coming on. Congrats on everything. Looking forward to seeing which directions you take. And the book, obviously, is any info about the book, or can they find it if they subscribe to the newsletter and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's called Sponsor Magnet. So maybe you're listening to this in the back catalog of SPI right now and it's already out. And the subtitle is How to Attract, Price, and Execute Your Dream Sponsorships, so you stop leaving thousands on the table. URL is sponsormagnet.com. I don't think it's up yet, but that'll be the URL if you're listening to it. But yeah, really excited for that to come out and have the impact I hope it does.
It will make a giant impact. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks again, dude.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Justin from creatorwizard.com. And he definitely is a wizard. He also, you could just tell sometimes when you hear a person's voice or you connect with somebody that they just are a genuine person who cares, who has a vibe of just positivity and wanting to help others. I also love that he's a family man. He's not afraid to talk about how entrepreneurship has helped him get closer to his family. And I really resonate with that. He's trying to spread that as well. And it's something that I believe in too. So for whatever reason you're doing what you're doing, I know Justin can help you along the way. So again, check him out, creatorwizard.com. Justin, thank you so much for your support, my man. I appreciate you. And I look forward to serving all of you with our next guest next week on the SPI podcast. And remember, we have our Friday episodes that come out as well, typically featuring just me, solo episodes, which I hope is okay. A lot of you have been enjoying the deeper dives we've been getting into with strategy and tactics lately on those Friday episodes. And I want to keep hearing the feedback coming, positive and constructive. And if you have some kind words to share, I'd love for you if you wrote a review on Apple. We don't ask very often. So would love to see your kind words there as well. So cheers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thank you so much for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Sound editing by Duncan Brown. Our senior producer is David Grabowski, and our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media and a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Catch you next week. Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place, recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio quality audio and high resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature, Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click. Hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it. More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. but a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.